Hello everyone and welcome back to 4FS Gaming. A couple of months ago I made a video teaching 5 essential tactics in Hunt Showdown, and by popular demand I'm now making follow-up videos focusing on each of these tactics. Today we are going to be looking at rotating. Rotating is your bread and butter, and mastering rotations during firefights will decide many matches in your favour. Before we get started, I would like to introduce this video's sponsor, Ace Defender. Ace Defender is a strategic RPG for both Apple and Android devices, and it is free to play. The game takes a strong SRPG base and combines it with a dash of tower defense elements, centered around a core storyline. A rebellion in the Dragon Clan is threatening the balance of the world, and only a silver dragon princess in exile can escape to the human lands with the Creation Crystal, where she will assemble heroes to fight back evil. This expedition manifests itself in a single-player RPG storyline with over 40 chapters at launch containing nearly 2,000 separate encounters to overcome. These levels are mixed across more traditional turn-based RPG battles and tower defense sections against hordes of enemies. The heroes you control have varied backstories and abilities, divided across 5 distinct factions and all uniquely designed. There are 48 at launch, and new heroes are to be added every 2 weeks. Heroes can be leveled up and equipped with gear, enhancing their abilities to your liking as you establish your roster. Along with the solo expedition mode, Ace Defender also offers PvE dungeons, regions, and trials that allow you to accelerate your hero's progress and acquire rare and powerful items. There is also a PvP arena experience both within and between servers. Now, new players who download Ace Defender using the link in the description will get a great head start, with 150,000 gold, 700 diamonds, 7 royal recruit tickets, 50 blue hero fragments, 50 rare random equip fragments, and a legendary hero, Lopez. And they'll get all of this when they reach rank 10. So click that link in the description and get started on your adventure today. The sun begins to set over the ruins of Desal, and our trio approaches Moses' Poultry. Little do we know the absolute chaos which is about to occur, a massive gunfight between 4 separate teams. But we have a distinct advantage. We are the only team that will rotate effectively, the only team that will move as a pack, encircling our foes and continually vying for better and better positioning. So before we get stuck into this gameplay example, what is a rotation? Well, it's your default stance, your footwork, it's your combat form of movement that unless you're trying for a specific alternate tactic, like a bait or an ambush, you should be constantly employing. Rotating is just really moving, sensibly, and with as much cover as possible, to better and better positions depending on your evolving circumstances. Each time you receive a new piece of information in Hunt, and this information is usually about the position of enemies, it's about reassessing where you are compared to where you could be, compared to your opponents, and then moving to improve your position. That's what rotating is, constantly reassessing where you are versus where you should be. Let's look at some of the examples and benefits around good rotations. Let's say we have a team holed up in the Upper Desal boss lair, and as we approach we begin to probe. Our team in green takes these outer buildings and we start peeking. I might do some micro rotations around 3 or 4 peak spots in this cluster of buildings. I'm looking for line of sight to the balcony of the boss lair and a few of the windows. This prevents me from peeking the same place twice because I'm moving around, and it also increases the chances that when I do peek, an enemy will be looking out a window at a place I just left, right for a headshot. Now, moving is advantageous in itself. If I'm running around between different spots often, it's going to encourage my enemies to peek. And that's really what I want at this point. My team on the outside has so many different spots we could be, whereas in the boss lair they only have about 6 or 7 places in total to look out of. Now let's say that I do get a nice headshot pick on someone standing on that balcony. I will then encourage my team to rotate to the south where we can both cover the body to prevent a revive, and also to begin to plan our entrance if need be. Now let's say the enemy trio tries to do a sneaky rotation themselves to initiate a baiting tactic. By sending a player east towards our isolated ally, we have to counter-rotate to defend, but coming right over would expose us to the player with high ground in the boss lair, so the best we can do is try and cover some angles, and this takes our attention away from the dead body, and a revive is made. The rotating enemy player had no intention of pushing right up, but he did bait our movement successfully. Sometimes you need to do what I call a sweeping rotation. Let's say that we hear crows, or worse, sprinting to our south, and we know that we are seconds away from being third-partied. By rotating around the compound, we can place the boss lair between us and the third team. You never want to be stuck in the middle. We can even do this safely by using the interior of these buildings. Sweeping rotations should either happen at range or with cover. Feeling the pressure, the red team might make a desperate play for the extract. By moving east parallel to them, we can take the hill above the extract and rain fire on both the red and the blue teams if they approach. Of course, this is all dependent on our loadouts and the range that we want to operate at. If we're running shotguns, we probably would have run inside the building as soon as we heard the crows. There are thousands of reasons to move to a better position, and these situations come up in every fight. Rotating well means that you begin to instinctively know how and where to move to improve your stance. We can see from these theoretical examples that rotating is the base behavior from which you can launch into other essential tactics. Both flanking and pushing require good rotations to initiate safely, and baiting and ambushing often require good positioning to get set up. If good positioning is the goal, then rotating is the tools that you use to achieve that goal. Let's go back to Moses' Poultry. This is one of the longer fights I've had recently, but I feel that it is necessary to explain this tactic in full. I will include commentary as we go, but there may be long sections of just gameplay, so I'll include some timestamps in the descriptions of where the big sweeping rotations are. Let's get started. I'm probably not concerned as I should be here, but the Winfield at that range isn't a massive threat. It probably won't even be able to kill me with a headshot, so I keep shooting until I get my pick. This is when I tell my team, okay, rotate and rotate southwest. We want to capitalize on that down by either trying to prevent a revive or cutting them off when they're out of the boss building as they try and get the revive. Realizing that we're probably too late to stop the revive at this point, we go for a more cautious rotation, mainly just trying to take that high ground so we're not stuck down in the mud. Now that was terrifying, and pure luck that I saw him instead of him seeing me. It's now time to rotate the other way. We do not want to get wedged in between two teams, but a partner gets down on the way out. Confident in my range and my scope, I go for another messy peek war. And it just pays off on my last bullet. As this gunfight erupts, and particularly as I hear shotguns, that signals that, hey, we can get a revive in here. So as my teammate moves up to get that revive, I move across to cover the direction at which we can be flanked from, to ensure that it can be done safely. From here, I make the call to do a full, sweeping rotation to the other side. We don't want to get caught between two teams, and I also want the high ground. Notice that we're sticking to cover here. If we do get shot at from the building or those fields to our southwest, it's a split second to get behind some really massive blocks of cover. We can now fight freely without the worry of a team coming up behind us, at least for a little bit. That's why I can take the high ground and bait out shots, confident that I'm not going to get shot at by 5 people at the same time. Despite a number of picks, we're starting to feel a bit of a stalemate, so we push up and closer, trying to capitalize on the kills that we've made so far. This is probably a poor rotation on my half, because we don't know where these people are that I've been shooting at in this field. They've likely got revives, and could be anywhere, even behind us. And there's the shot that tells me I'm in danger, I need to move. Fortunately, after missing, he pulls off his advantageous position and lets me relocate. I'm now feeling that this rock here is in a right position. I can see into the compound. The AI will warn me if someone comes behind, and I've got cover from my south side due to that large rock. Holding angles is sometimes rewarded. This is where we start to get into a bit of a pickle, because although we've got plenty of headshots, it's really unclear where any enemies are left. We know that there's a third team coming up from the other bounty. We know that the second team we encountered is scattered or dead, but they could all be up by now. And we also don't know where 2 members of this outer team are. That just increases the level of chaos. It tells me that there's teams everywhere, we don't know who's dead, we don't know who's alive, but there is something that can help us a lot with that. The bounty. Getting a suppression shot is enough to get close, and with my teammates up the top here, I am going to be able to get a bounty pick using Serpent, but we just want to give them something to think about before I do that. With bounty, we can make some really informed rotations. We can isolate that there is a sole survivor. And when someone's on your own and you've all got the mobility to get up there and attack him at the same time, it's always a good idea. So we head up, and I squander too much of my dark sight, but this guy's been slippery for a while now, and I really want him dead. He's distracted by my teammates. Easy headshot. Classic pincer movement. Could only be done with bounty. Good example of an aggressive rotation. I can now confirm that there's 2 teams left, and they're both at full strength, having revived everyone, and they've all got bounty. So they can just keep reviving. Things do slow down a little bit here, so I might skip a couple of sections, but you're really not missing much. Everyone's kind of just waiting to see what everyone else is doing. So we spot an enemy going for a flank. That's really dangerous, and we want to shut it down immediately. I've got enough dark sight to ascertain that he is by himself. And because I bring a teammate with me, the 2v1 makes it incredibly simple. Now we have more bounty. This is a good opportunity to move in, but my teammates aren't in a position to support me, and I don't want to head to the south side where there's potentially 2 teams by myself. I get close, but they don't support me in the push, so I pull back while I'm being chased and warn them to cover me as I go back up the hill. We also want to ensure that this body does not get revived. Things have become a bit more precarious because one of the teams with bounty has broken off to attack us, leaving the boss lair team to just sit there, but they can still peek out and snipe, which is a concern. They try and choke out the person that we're burning, and that gives us a signal that they're pretty close, and we might be able to push them. We're now getting suppressed from 2 different teams on 2 different angles, and it's not a very good spot, so we decide to go pretty hard onto this external team, deal with them, and then worry about the boss lair. The only problem is, as I cross the only section of open terrain, I get done by a guy from boss lair. We've now got 2 people on 100 health, which is really dangerous. Fortunately, they're able to pick out the choke bomb thrower. And the fact that we're hearing lapel shots from compound at another team gives a window of opportunity to revive. This is very risky and quite lucky that I was able to get up there. Now things are going to change a little bit. 2 of us are down to 100 health and they have long ammo. That's a little bit concerning because we can be body tapped from significant range. I do make one attempt to go far away to see if I can land a headshot with the scope, into that small exterior side of the building where that one guy remaining on one of the teams seems to be hiding, but I can't see anything, so I come back, and in that rotation the bounty team's able to escape. There's only one player left now, and we know where they are due to bounty, so it's all about just enclosing in on them. A couple of free wallbangs because we don't have to worry about the other team, and he goes down, but I still slurp at the bounty just in case, because you never know. So we can see some examples of really good and also really bad rotations on both my behalf and from enemies. People that tried to flank by themselves against people with Darksight did not tend to go particularly well in this fight. It also didn't help when we went so far away and forgot about the possibility of a run to extract. That's where we also kind of let down our guard a little bit. You notice that my death was because I tried to do a rotation into a vulnerable enemy and didn't use sufficient cover, ran in a straight line, and then I got picked off for it. So there was a couple of mistakes there that I would have liked to do differently, but I think in the end, the fight worked out well, mainly due to our sweeping rotations, ensuring that we were never really pinched hard by two teams at the same time. Hopefully you've learnt something from this video. I'd like to give a massive thank you to our Patreon supporters, and also this video's sponsor, Ace Defender. Thank you very much everyone for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.